Hi guys, welcome to this session in LibreOffice Base database. In this module I want to show you how you can create a very simple sales database in Base. So on the screen I've got a PowerPoint slide with the tables that I'm going to recreate in Base database, starting with a customer table, which is just basically got a few fields. You can add extra ones to this once you see how it all works. A product table and a sales table, and then I'm going to link these tables together so that I can produce a sales database. So that's what I'm going to create. Now let's get into LibreOffice. Now I'm on the main screen. I want a new base database, so I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to select create a new database. So I'll go next. I don't want to register it. Open the database for editing, so basically click on finish there and it will ask me to save it. So I'm going to call this a sales database, or sales. I'll just call it sales. Save it with the rest of them, and then you get this window with your objects down the left hand side: tables, queries, forms and reports. And then each of these have either the option to go into design view and create your own fields or use the wizard. So what I want to do is basically create my own. I'll just show you the wizard before I do that. Actually, the wizard itself takes you through these 4 steps, and you select a series of preset tables. So for example, contacts, these are all the fields that you can use for contacts. You just basically take the field across that you want, and then or take it back if you don't want that. Take it back. So there's lots of different options here. This is set to business. You've got personal as well, but I'm just going to cancel that off. You might want to start off by doing that, but once you've got your head around how it works, I would suggest that you create your own table. So that's what I'm going to do. Create a table in design view. So first table is going to be customers, and the first field is going to be customer ID, and that is going to be an integer like that. So these are the field types that you can have. I want this to be a number. This is going to be the unique identifier, and it's also going to be the primary key. So if I just right click on this little list here and click on primary key, I can set that as the primary key. Customer name. Now this is just going to default to text. When I tab across, there it is. That's what I want. So then we've got address, and coming down, city, and that's all I want to put on that. I'm not going to bother with the postcode because it just takes a lot of extra typing in. So in real life you probably would have postcode, county, maybe postcode, country, telephone number, contact details and all those things, but for this little example I just want to leave it as it is. Now on the customer ID field, down the bottom you've got field properties. What I want is set auto value no. I want that to set to yes, and that means it's just doing increment in each time I add a new record, so that's great. None of these need to be changed. These are set to 100 character lengths, which is enough for what they are. All these are okay, so I'm just going to save this. It's going to be called TBL customers, and then OK to that, and then I'm going to close that down. So then it sits down here, and if I double click on it, it will open up, and then I've got my little table there ready to put some information there. See, it's on auto number. So if I put Steve Saxton, I could have put company actually, address 1 Red Road, Leeds. That's it. And then when I tab again, it comes down and to the next one, and then I can do Dave Green, 2 Red Road, everybody lives on Red Road, like so, Leeds. Tab off the record. So that's putting data in. I'll just close that down. That's that one done. New table, same thing, create table in design view. This time it's going to be I'll do the product table first. Product ID, this needs to be an integer, and I also need it to be a primary key. Set primary key. Then we're just going to have product, quantity and price, Now price needs to be set to currency, so I want this changing to currency. Now in this list here, it's another database like Microsoft Access, you would have the option there to put that into currency, but this needs to be set to number, integer, and then down the bottom here you can click on format field. So for example, if I click on the format field, you've got the option there of selecting this as currency, and then I'll click OK to that. So then it's got that default value there. So that's all I want in this one. I'll save this as TBL products. OK to that. Close this one down. There she sits underneath. I'll just add a product, so I'll bring the table back across. So I'll just say, oh, I've just remembered something. Let's close this and set that to an auto number. Product, edit. So that needs to be automatically numbering. It's also not that. It's meant to be integer. That one, and then auto value. Yes. Save the changes, close it down, yes, and then let's have a look at that now, see if it gives you the auto number option. Yes, it does. That's what I want. So the product I'll say is Excel, got 10 of them, the price is £100. Press tab, comes off, puts that to £100. I'll just do one more. Access, quantity 5, £50, tab off. So I've got two products. Excel, Access, etc. Close that off. And my third table is going to be what's called a join table. It's going to join these two together, and it's going to be called the sales table. But again, I'm going to create it manually. Create table. This is going to be sales ID integer. There's me just pressing I. It should be integer. That's what I did last time. It also needs to be a primary field. So we then have to have the other two primary keys in here, but they become foreign keys. So customer ID field, which needs to be set to integer, yeah, and product ID field also needs to be set to integer. So that's good. And then make that a bit bigger. I want quantity in there, and date of purchase, which is going to be a date field. So this needs to be date and time. You select that date and time. Find that down here somewhere. Time, date and time. I just want date actually, not time. Date. And let's go back to this ID field again. That needs to be automatically incrementing, which is doing that. Okay. Now date and time is okay. Let's just save that as TBL sales. TBL sales. So we've now got our three tables. Close that down. So in the sales there are no sales at the moment. If you bring that there, it's just a blank field. Let's close that off for a second. What I want to do now is link these three tables together. So that is on the tools menu and then relationships. You get the three tables there. I want to add customers, products, add that, and add sales. So add all three, close this box. Now these are very small, so I'll just make these come across here a bit and try and make them a bit bigger. Well, there's not a lot of information going on in that little table. That's the sales table. So I want the product table over here. Make that a bit bigger. So none of these tables are very large, but quite often you have a lot more fields than that. Now it's important in my view that you get this layout looking correct, so you can actually work out what the database is doing while you are making these links. If I can get the right symbol. Mouse is playing for a little bit. Okay, so in each of these tables you can see the key field, which is the primary key. Now this customer, I want one customer to be able to have many sales. So the customer ID field in this table, which is the primary key, goes to the customer ID field in that table, which is not the primary key, and then it creates a one-to-many link. One-to-many. Now the same for the product ID. Into product ID, one product can be sold many times. So those are two one-to-many links. This is like a joining table, and then that's how I want this to work. So I've created my two links. Now if I just close this, I'll save this link, close this. So now what that means is I should be able to create a query based on those three tables, but before I do that I need to add some sales data, so I'll just add some sales data. Okay, so I've basically added some sales records there. You can see the sales records there. It's just a series of numbers, but I want to create a form, and then we'll create a couple of queries, and then we'll create a report. So let's have a look at this. First off, forms. So forms are like data input tools, so you can basically use a form to input data into tables. So if I click on forms to create a form, you've got two options at the top: create a form in design view, use the wizard. I'm going to use the wizard this time. So if I bring this across into the middle so you can see it, it's got table customers, yeah, so I want to bring all the fields across, and then I'm going next. So it's basically coming down this structure. Do I want a subform? Add a subform based on existing relationships, the relationships that we did in tools, so it's picking up sales. So next, I want all those to come across as well. Next. Now this is all about the layout. Now we're getting a bit of a preview of what's going to happen here. If I make this a bit bigger so you can see it. Now you might want to do this a few times if you don't like the look of it. I'm not really liking the look of that, but let's see how it works. But let's have a quick look at this. Look at that one. Now that's better. That one, no. That one, I like that as well. Oh, that's okay. But these are all things you can just click through. Subform, no, no. I like it as a table, to be honest. What's that one do? No. So that one's better. So that one at the top, that one at the bottom. Next. On the form is to be used for entering new data only. Existing data will not be. I don't want that. The form is to display all data. Yes. Next. Style. Light grey, dark. It's up to you what colour you pick here, but some of them are ice blue. Looks a bit green to me, but never mind. I'll go for that one. And the form is qualified with FRM, so I'm putting FRM in front of that, and then I'm clicking finish, and then it should create my form, and then that's the form ready to go with the first person on there and the sales that's made. So in theory now, if I click into there and say product 1 and 2, and the date was today's date, which is the 16th of July, so 16/07/2023, tab off. So I'm now doing it through this. I can see that down the bottom there you've got records 3 of 3, so you can use these little arrows to navigate through them. So I'm on, that's for this. That's just bringing me through that one. So you can see how that works there. Go forward like so. So this is all moving this around. Now to get the main bit moving, you need to click into the main bit, and then you can use these arrows again and it'll move it through the record. So that's customer ID 1, he's made one sale, go again, made another sale, and so on and so on. So you can navigate through the top part of the form, or if you click into this part of the form, you then navigate in through that bit. So that's just one record there. So you need to be clicking into whichever part of the form you want to use. So I close this down. That form now sits there. That's form to enter data into customers. Now we haven't got a form to enter data into products. So products is just a list of products, remember. So that should be a straightforward form. I don't really want a subform on that. So if I click on forms again, I'll use the wizard, and when it opens up the wizard this time, it's going to be products. I want products. I want all the fields. I want next. I'm not adding a subform. Next, I want it to look like that. Yeah, like that. And then next, that's okay. Apply the style, go for grey, and next, and this is just going to be FRM products. So this just allows you to put new products in. So FRM products, and then finish the wizard, and then that's ready to rock and roll. And there it is there. So if I've got 4 products, so if I go through these navigation arrows, it'll show me all those products like so, and then it's ready for a new product there. For example, if I put project in there, quantity 10, price 500, tab off that record, close this down, go and have a look at the table products. That should have put that in there. So bring that across. So that's what it does. It just inputs the data into the relevant place. So project 10, £500. Now let's have a look at doing a couple of queries. I'll do one query first off. So if I go into queries, I'm going to do this in design view, and I'm just going to do it on customers first of all. So adding customers, closing this down, making that bigger again and wider if I can get this. Got it. Now I haven't got many fields here, but if I just double click each one down so you get them in their relevant places, I'm just going to do a very quick one. Down here, this grid area, you've got all these different rows. The criteria row is where I want to be. I'm just going to put leads, for example, because I know there's some leads records there, like so. And then up here you've got different options. Run query is what I'm going to do. Run the query, it gives you the results and it shows you what you've got down here. So you can basically just play around. If I put Bradford, run it again, it should just show me records for Bradford, which there are 2 as well. And then if you want, you can save this query. So we'll save it, just save one query, QRY Bradford, get rid of that rubbish. Now queries are things that you want over and over again. That's what you should do. Click OK to that, and then just close this down. Click the wrong thing there, but there's a query. And then you want a report. I'll use the wizard for a report because that's the output. So create a report using the wizard. Starts the wizard up. Now it's looking at a query Bradford. I want all the fields across. Next, and it's got different labels for these that can stay the same. Next, grouping. I don't need a group because I've got just Bradford. This is a query. Sorting, I don't need either. It's on ascending. Next, layout. I'll leave it on default because this is going to drop it into Writer. Now if I put RPT in front of that, RPT, and then finish, and it should open up Writer and then show you that amazing report, which is not brilliant, but there you go. So let's come out of Writer, close that back into this. Now if I do another one, but then this time do it based on customers, then I can do a grouping. So if I get report wizard again, this time I'm doing it on customers, table customers. I want all the fields, and then that's it. Next, not bothered about labeling. Next, grouping I am bothered about, so I want it group it by city. Next, sorting I'm not bothered about. Layout I'll leave it as default. Create the report, put RPT customers in front of it. RPT customers, finish, and then that opens it again like so. So that's grouping it by the 2 cities that we've got. There you go. Close Writer, and we're back to our 2 reports. I want to create a query that's going to pull in multiple tables so we can look at the relationships that we've already created. So if I get myself onto queries, I'm going to do it manually. So design view, add all the tables, customers, products, sales, close that box. Then if I just bring these down and open them up, you can see straight away as I start moving these around that the link is already there. So if I put sales in the middle as it was in the relationship, so you can see it, and then just make it a little bit bigger so you can see it also, and then get the products over on the right there so the link comes that way. There's a one-to-many links for both of these tables. So what I want to bring into this query is customer name, product and quantity and price. So I've got information from the table customers, products, sales and products. So have a quick look at that. What does that look like? So that's going to look like that. But then I want to group it by customer. So there's only me that's got 2 items, but let's create a report and group this by customer. So I'll close that. I do want to save that. I'll call that QRY customer sales, for example. Then I'll base a report on that and use the wizard, and then you'll see how that works. So use wizard. So it's picking up Bradford. I want that one. I'm going to send them all across. Next. Labels can stay like that. Grouping. Right, group by customer name. Customer name. Next. Sorting can stay as it is. Layout options, leaving it default. Create report. Put RPT in front of all of that so you can follow the logic, the naming logic through. Finish. That will open up Writer, and it should be grouped. So you've got, so I've got 2 items there, look, grouped at the bottom by customer name, and that's your report in Writer. Close that down, brings me back into this, and there's my 3 reports. And then I've got 2 forms, I've got 2 queries, and I've got 3 tables so far in this database. And this is just to start you off. You then can build this up and start interrogating your data in a bit more depth. You might want to create invoices, for example, and produce an invoice per person. So that's something else you can do. But for now, that's all I want to talk about. So hopefully that's of use. Thank you for your time. I'll catch you on the next one.